Across the vast land of India, there are memories that cannot be easily explained. Memories that do not belong to the children's present lives, but seem to come from a previous existence. In the latter half of the 20th century, Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist from the United States, devoted decades of his life to investigating thousands of such cases. With rigorous methodology and a scientific approach, he sought to verify whether these unusual memories could correspond to real, verifiable facts. Today, we step into another remarkable story, that of Sumit Verma, from India. From early childhood, this boy displayed unusual behaviors and speech, as if part of his being was not confined to this life alone. This is not fiction but a case documented in detail. Let us begin from the very start and follow Dr. Stevenson's path into this mysterious and profound inquiry. In a small town in Uttar Pradesh, India, the childhood of Sumit Verma seemed no different from other children. Yet, from the age of 3, he began to speak words that puzzled and even unsettled his family. During a family gathering, the young boy suddenly pointed into the distance, claiming that his real home was in another town, not in the village where he was born. At first, his parents dismissed this as childhood fantasy, but over time, Sumit repeatedly mentioned the same town's name, always with remarkable consistency and detail. Even more perplexing, he began to use words and expressions that his family had never taught him. For example, when describing food, he used dialect terms from another region. Speaking about clothes, he would insist, "The shirt I used to wear wasn't this color." These statements were not spoken as playful inventions, but carried an air of certainty and longing. On one occasion, while playing, he accidentally shouted out a strange name, saying, "That was my brother." His family froze, because in this life, he had no brother by that name. As these unusual words accumulated, his parents realized that this was not merely imagination. The boy seemed to be struggling to convey memories that did not belong to his present life. As Sumit Verma grew older, his words began to form not just scattered fragments, but the outline of a more complete picture. He no longer merely mentioned a name or the name of a distant town. Instead, he started describing vivid details of his former life. One day he told his mother, "My old home was near a river. In the courtyard there was a large mango tree. I used to play with my brother under that tree." His mother was stunned, for their village had neither a river nor such a mango tree. Yet when the boy spoke, his expression was firm, and his tone carried the weight of lived experience. Gradually, his descriptions became increasingly specific. He mentioned that his previous house had a blue gate, with the kitchen immediately on the left as one entered. On the wall hung an old brass lamp. He even described the utensils used in the kitchen and the storage arrangement of the vessels. For a 6-year-old child, such intricate details seemed far beyond the scope of imagination. What shocked his family most was his account of how he had died. One night he cried out to his father, "I was killed by a vehicle. A car came suddenly, I fell on the road, and people gathered around me, weeping." These words chilled the family, for nothing like this had ever happened in their own village. Yet the scene he painted was disturbingly vivid. The shape of the crossroads, the crowd's reaction, even the pain and fear he remembered. These memories did not fade with time. Instead, they grew clearer as he aged. His family noticed that sometimes he woke up suddenly at night, shouting unfamiliar names, or speaking in a dialect different from his own. His mother, holding him tightly in the darkness, felt as though her son was trapped in a nightmare from another existence. Eventually, The family realized that these memories of a past life could no longer be dismissed as mere imagination. They decided to seek the help of researchers so that Sumit's extraordinary recollections could be carefully documented and investigated. As Sumit Verma's memories became clearer, his family realized that the matter had gone far beyond their understanding. In search of answers, they reached out for help. Eventually, news of this case reached Dr. Ian Stevenson and his research team. As one of the first scholars to systematically study past life memories, Dr. Stevenson was deeply interested in such cases. His team began a preliminary investigation and soon decided to visit Sumit's village in India in person. When the researchers arrived, they brought not only skepticism and rational inquiry, but also rigorous scientific methods. First, they instructed the family not to prompt the child and not to give him any information in advance to ensure fairness. Then they adopted their core strategy: to document the child's spontaneous statements and compare them with reality. In the first interview, Sumit again described a previous home near a river and detailed its appearance and interior. He said, "The gate was blue. On the left side as you entered was the kitchen. On the wall there was a brass lamp." The researchers carefully recorded these statements and even drew a floor plan. They then set out to verify whether such a house existed in reality. By visiting nearby towns, they eventually found a house that matched Sumit's description with uncanny precision. A blue gate, the kitchen on the left, a brass lamp on the wall. Even more astonishing, the family living there had indeed lost a young boy some years earlier, his death caused by a road accident. The researchers brought Sumit to this house. Without any prompting, the boy showed immediate excitement, as if he had returned to a familiar place. He walked straight to the door, touched the old metal knocker, and whispered, "Yes, this is it." When the family members came out, Sumit called them by name and addressed them as brother and sister. His eyes shone with the emotion of reunion, leaving everyone present silent with awe. To further ensure objectivity, the researchers arranged a blind test, asking Sumit to identify specific, less obvious family belongings, such as an old bracelet and a cracked copper plate. Without hesitation, he pointed them out and said, "These were mine." The accuracy was striking, leaving skeptics with few explanations. Throughout the investigation, Dr. Stevenson emphasized scientific rigor. He refrained from drawing premature conclusions. Instead, he faithfully documented the child's statements, the family's reactions, and the evidence gathered on site. His goal was not to prove reincarnation outright, but to preserve reliable data, so that future science might confront questions that today remain beyond explanation. After the breakthrough of the initial investigation, the researchers did not stop. They knew that recognizing a house or family members, while impressive, was still insufficient for full academic credibility. Therefore, they designed extended tests, both through physical evidence and emotional challenges. Over the following days, the team engaged repeatedly with the previous family, searching for hidden details. One elderly woman placed a cracked necklace on the table, offering no explanation. The moment Sumit saw it, he reached out with trembling hands and whispered, "This was the gift I once gave to my sister." Tears streamed down the woman's face, for the necklace was indeed a keepsake given by her deceased child. In another test, the researchers mixed unrelated objects with one authentic item, a small wooden toy car. Sumit immediately picked it out. "This was my favorite toy." When asked about its peculiarity, he added, The left wheel broke once, and father fixed it. Upon inspection, a repair mark was clearly visible on the wheel. Beyond objects, there were emotional tests. One evening, as both families sat in the courtyard, Sumit looked intently at a middle-aged man and suddenly cried out, "Father!" The man froze, trembling, overwhelmed by recognition. The courtyard fell into silence, broken only by quiet sobs, the weight of a reunion across death itself. Yet the researchers remained composed. They asked, "If you truly were this family's child, can you describe your death?" Sumit lowered his gaze. "I was riding my bicycle. A car struck me. I fell by the roadside, my chest hurt. Then everything went black." The description matched exactly the real cause of the child's death. In these tests, Sumit not only demonstrated remarkable accuracy, but also profound emotional resonance. Unlike rehearsed knowledge, his tears, longing, and joy bore the unmistakable weight of lived experience. Dr. Stevenson documented everything carefully. He emphasized that emotional recognition often carried more impact than physical evidence. Objects could be revealed, places could be guessed, but raw human emotions of love, grief, and reunion were nearly impossible to fake. As the investigation progressed, the weight of evidence mounted. The child consistently gave dozens of correct details across multiple occasions with striking stability. Such consistency defied explanation by mere coincidence or suggestion. This process became a trial for everyone involved. For the previous family, it felt like their lost child had returned. For Sumit's parents, it stirred both awe and unease, fearing how a double identity might affect their son's future. For the researchers, it was the profound confrontation between science and human experience, between reason and mystery. The Case of Sumit Verma is not merely a story of mysterious childhood memories. It stands as a milestone in the academic study of reincarnation. First, it reinforces the rigorous methodology long championed by Dr. Ian Stevenson. Through field visits, cross-checking of testimonies, and the verification of minute details, researchers were able to rule out coincidence, suggestion, or prior knowledge. This elevated the case's scientific credibility. Second, Sumit's memories provided powerful evidence for the continuity of consciousness across lifetimes. The small, intimate details he recalled, details that would be nearly impossible for a child to fabricate, offered crucial support for the hypothesis of rebirth. As more such evidence accumulates, the age-old question of human existence is increasingly entering serious philosophical and scientific discussions. The academic response to this case was notable. Supporters hailed it as another confirmation that reincarnation is not merely a religious fantasy, but a scientific phenomenon worthy of investigation. Skeptics, on the other hand, emphasized the need for larger-scale validation to avoid overinterpretation of individual cases. Yet, whether in agreement or dissent, scholars were confronted with the same profound question: does human consciousness truly vanish with death? Or does it continue, through means we do not yet understand, into another life? Internationally, the Sumit Verma case has been translated, cited in journals of psychology, religious studies, and philosophy. It has become a bridge between Eastern traditions of karma and rebirth, and Western debates on the soul and the mind-body problem. Modern science may not yet have the tools to solve this mystery. But just as rainfall in the mountains can be inferred by observing the swelling rivers downstream, so too can cases like Sumit's be seen as ripples of a greater unseen reality. In the end, the lesson is clear. The boundaries of science remain vast and uncharted. Between death and rebirth, there may lie an undiscovered frontier, awaiting human exploration.